Hello everyone, this is the start of a new series where we'll update the 1's tier list for ABA, starting with the tier list for July 2026 after the addition of Mahito and Yura. The meta has slightly changed at the second part of summer update, so we'll go over it now. Share your thoughts in the comments and let's get started. Let's kick things off with the D tier and the Doo-Doo tier, from Mr. President to Chansu to Super Tummy and then to the Squid Guy. These characters are good for nothing, so don't use them. Alright, now for the C tier, the still don't use tier, we have Heavy Sasuke, then Akainu all the way down to Endeavor, and then Chili's all the way down to Ritsu. For the B tier, the still no tier, we have Rengoku, Weather Report all the way down to Zenitsu, Akira all the way down to Cell, Naruto all the way down to Time Skip Naruto, and Hercules all the way down to Madara. Some of these characters have good bases but bad modes like Shinsui, or bad bases but good modes, kinda like Parley Cell. Alright, now for the A tier, the Meh tier. These characters are almost viable, so you can use them low elo, but I would really recommend using them once you get to really high elo. Just to get this out of the way before we talk about the higher tiers, the recent buffs / nerfs to some of these characters don't make that much of a difference because it does balance the game around pubs instead of ranked. Alright, for the Meh tier, the A tier, we have Tengen all the way down to Majin Vegeta, MSG2 Raiden, Snake all the way down to Warark Sasuke, Killua all the way down to 2B, Oak all the way down to Rogan, Kira all the way down to Metalbat, and then Legacy Rukia. These characters are good in low elo, but don't use them in high elo. Alright, moving on to the A+ tier. As characters like Kisuke, then Law all the way down to Oma, Risotto all the way down to Zabuza, Todoroki all the way down to Crocodile, and Usopp all the way down to Bob. You can argue for Zabuza to be higher, but I honestly think he's overly glazed, and the reason Tatsumaki is an A+ is because they made her spin not come extent anymore. Alright, these characters are good if you wanna use them and you're really good with them, but they don't always hold up against some of the Z's tiers. Alright, now we're getting to the really high elo picks. These characters are good, as in good for high elo, starting with Itachi, Maka all the way down to Kurapika, then Rukia all the way down to Dio, and Stark all the way down to Legacy Aizen, and then Rika. All of these characters are viable, and you'll most likely have to fight them in high elo, so I recommend learning their kits even if you're not going to play them. Some of these characters are good counters to meta characters, and you can beat a Z tier of them if both players are equally skilled. And for some of these, you can even argue to move them up to Z tier, like Itachi, Maka, Vigilante, Deku. You can even argue that maybe Toshiro even could be moved up to Z tier, but this is a tier list for people who want to get into high elo. So if you're not already really good with some of these, they're not C tier, they're more like S tier. You should absolutely learn how to use these characters if you want to get into high elo though. For the Z tier, we have 25th Bam. Even after his nerfs, he's still really good, and his 1 is so bugged right now, so you can still almost one-shot someone with his 1 in base. We'll have to see how they fix that. Then we have Jotaro. You could argue that he's not C tier, he's an S tier, but I still think he's really good, and I also made him, so I'm gonna leave him in C tier. Then we have Geto. He's still really good even after the nerfs. Crollo, Aizen, Shanks, even after all the nerfs he's gotten. Yuji is brain dead. He has a really low skill floor, and then he has a really high skill ceiling. Then we have Mahito, then Gilgamesh, even after the pinpoint shot, you can still come books with it. You just have to time it really good now. Then Legacy Brawley, don't even know to say why he's Z tier. And then Yura. We'll have to see if Yura goes up or down when he gets in 1, but I still think he's really good. Alright, of course meta changes, but this is where we're at right now. I'm gonna call this the EuroLeague tier list, and after the Josepher made, he's a ABA YouTuber that makes those unvaulting videos, and I'll probably keep making these until the comp players stop feeding me info. I want to keep these videos short, around 4 minutes or less, like the RK or RBA skin tier list videos, but with a little more explaining. I enjoyed making this, and as always, I just wanted to make this, so hopefully it can help someone, or really I just made it for fun. But with all that said, thank you for watching, and I'm signing out. Here's the full tier list if you want to see all of it.